continuing our coverage of our top story with the news we've been telling you about this morning, where dozens of people were sickened by a carbon monoxide leak. This at a Winnipeg hotel. It is clear that hidden hazards can be found anywhere. So joining us now with more on how to protect your home and most importantly your family is Toronto Fire Chief Matthew Pegg. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Good morning.
So let's talk about carbon monoxide. I mean, you and I were just talking in the break, and it is very scary when you're thinking about it because you just don't know if it's there.
It is. I watched your clip earlier, and it's exactly correct. Carbon monoxide is invisible, it's odorless, you can't smell it, and it's tasteless. So absent of effective and working detection systems or, a working CO alarm, you have no idea.
And where in your house should that CO alarm be? I know we have ours right by our fire or smoke detector. Is that the best spot for it, or should it be at the floor? Where do we want to find it?
Carbon monoxide distributes fairly evenly in air, so our recommendation, simply the most important place for it to be is outside a sleeping area. So as close and proximate to the sleeping area so that it has the highest opportunity to wake us up when we're asleep. What's
your experience in responding to calls like these?
Within the City of Toronto, carbon monoxide events and incidents are fairly common for us. Our crews responded to more than 3,100 of them last year. So in the big picture of the annual emergency response picture in Toronto, that's a fairly low volume. It's about 2% of our total call volume. But still, it's more than 3,000 times our crews are responding to and dealing with and interacting with carbon monoxide.
And these symptoms that you're feeling, especially on a 30-degree day like they were experiencing in Winnipeg, they're not that much different than, say, feeling sick because it's hot outside.
That's exactly right. And that's really one of the major problems or challenges with CO is the initial symptoms aren't necessarily anything that's really going to get our attention. You may have a headache, you may feel nauseous. So, things that I would say are relatively common. It's not something that's going to, hey, something's definitely wrong here. So it's, of course, why the codes require and why we rely on working CO alarms in our homes to alert us so that we can get out to safety.
Okay, so one of those things you need to do if you're at home right now, just like press pause and go check your CO monitor and make sure you put that on your to-do list for today. Check those batteries and make sure that it's working. Most importantly, it's installed. We do know when we talk about fire, we do know that the main causes of house fires are from cooking, smoking, and faulty electrical wiring. But this first one that we're going to talk about is kind of out in left field. It's the flower pot. How does this even become a hazard for us? What can go wrong?
Well, if we go back to 2017, in the City of Toronto, we had a very serious problem. And over the course of 2017, 51 times, we had 51 different fires that were started by people carelessly discarding or flicking cigarette butts off balconies. And those cigarette butts are moving to an adjacent or a lower balcony and are starting a fire on that balcony. That happened 51 times in 2017. It happened another 32 times in 2018, and we're on track to be around 32, trending for 32 this year. So we launched a very aggressive campaign known as the Flicking Idiot campaign. Don't flick your butts. A little bit bold and aggressive, but it's making a big difference. We're actually seeing the numbers come down. You talked about some of the challenges. So really, it's all about this notion of carelessly discarding cigarette butts, and very common people will butt, they'll butt out in a flower pot or some kind of planter box. We deal with a lot of major fires caused by people discarding cigarette butts into planter pots. Things like peat moss burn really, really well, and they burn for a long time. So it's a significant challenge. So our request and our challenge to everyone in our city and of course nationwide and literally around the world, we need to be responsible for that cigarette butt. It needs to be fully extinguished and safely discarded as opposed to just being flicked or buried in a pot.
Chief, we also know that we need to obviously check the lint trap in our dryer, but what other appliances can also pose a hazard?
Well, the dryer, certainly lint traps are key. It collects. Lint's problematic for a number of reasons. It's very light. It's very easily ignited. It propagates and spreads very, very quickly. So lint traps for sure. Other appliances. It really is about taking the time to read the owner's manual. We're often not good at reading owner's manuals, especially all the safety information. But reading that safety information and understanding, you know, what the manufacturer's recommendations are, like vacuuming the back of the fridge, you know, any number of things. Obviously, dryers I would say are one of the top issues that we see. But you know, it's about the dryer vent. It's also about being very particular and very careful about the vent piping. We see there's a lot of cheap pipe, a lot of really cheap plastic flexible pipe that is really good at catching lint. So it's about the lint trap. You know, we need to clean it every time we're doing a laundry, but also doing that preventative maintenance.
Okay, Toronto Fire Chief Matthew Pegg, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.